welcome to the Mediocre Leaguecast, everybody. It's Monday, March 3rd, 2014. I'll be your host, Nick Houston, also known as Togos132. Joining me is Brad Konerman, a.k.a. Zysmo.
Says something.
What you got to say, though?
Something.
And Josh Dabney, also known as Beastum21.
Hey, what's up, guys?
All right, so let's just kick things off. What have you guys been doing in League this week? Zysmo?
Disconnecting, and disconnecting. All day long.
What about you, Beastum?
Actually, I've been playing a lot of normal games lately. This past weekend, I didn't get to play too much, but last week I played a couple of games of ranked, did pretty well, and then a lot of the server stuff started happening, which really affected the gameplay overall, so I just kind of laid off the league for a while until, I guess, they get it all fixed and figured out what the hell's going on.
Yeah, I've been doing kind of the same thing. I've been playing some normal games, I've been on like a Nidalee binge, so I played a bunch of Nidalee games for some reason. Played some ARAMs. It's just because every time I go in ranked, the client, like, just the servers just shit out.
Yeah.
At least you're able to get into your games at all. I think.
I'll be able to load in, and then I'll be able to look at the items. I'm like, I kind of want to get these items to start out, and then I DC usually.
Yeah, I think my issues with my I'm on vacation, and I'm using a different IP address, and for whatever reason I can't even connect to the game. It just blacks out as soon as after champion select. So I don't know. It's frustrating.
Yeah. That's one thing I wanted to kind of start us off with. Like, I forgot to write it down, but Riot came out and they said they're getting like record-breaking DDoS attacks against their servers. So that's why all this server instability has been going on. So what do you guys think about that? Like, what do you think they could do about it?
Well, I think they did the right thing in not giving the DDoS hackers, like, acknowledgement for being behind them. They kind of just try to sweep it under the rug so that they didn't get any credit for these attacks, because that's really what they want. You saw with, what was the name of, was it Derp Trolling or something, was the last of the DDoS attacks that they used on the servers.
I'm not sure.
But, I mean, that's really what these guys want, is they're looking for publicity. And I think Riot did, made the right decision in not bringing that to light, even though it pisses me off, because I'm just like, let me play a fucking game.
Yeah, they made an official post on the forums. They're like, for a while they were just like, yeah, we're just having technical issues, sorry about that, everybody, and they were just kind of giving the same cookie cutter answers that like companies always give when they're having troubles. But then they finally came out like the other week and they said, yeah, we're getting DDoS attacks. We didn't want to bring it up because we didn't want to give the people doing it any attention like they want. It's like, but we're working with like our service providers and we're trying to get more servers and stuff and we're trying to fix it. So I think they're handling it pretty well. It does piss me off because I just want to fucking play. Like, all I've been doing this week is like, because I haven't been able to play, I've just been watching LCS like every day. So if I can't play, I'm going to watch other people that can play.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they've gone about it the right way, at least, though. I mean, as far as, like, trying to handling the problem internally and just, fixing it the best way that they can. I don't know of what else that they could possibly do other than, getting better servers and stuff like that.
And I don't know if this is a distributed attack just on NA servers or if it's across the board. I'm not sure. Do you guys know if it's?
I haven't seen, like, as far as the streamers, like, if you watch like some of the European streamers, I haven't heard of any of those guys talking about it.
From what I've been reading, Europe kind of has server issues a lot, so they say they'll have like 3 crashes a day, but that's not necessarily from DDoS attacks. They say that just kind of happens because it's Europe. Okay. And
so they just need to upgrade their hardware over there.
Yeah, and even on NA, they say it's mostly affecting players on the East Coast, and the ones on the West Coast aren't getting it as bad. I don't know how true that is, but I know I live on the East Coast, and the game is fucking like unplayable almost half the time.
Well, I'll be in Oceania next week, so I guess we'll figure it out.
Well, you can, yeah. Brad Konerman's going to Hawaii, so he'll be able to bring us all the Oceania updates. Stuff like that.
I'll probably have an account in Oceania.
Ew, that
I'd like to get an account Korea and just totally get my ass beat every day. Like, just end up 0-27
That
every
sounds
game.
exciting.
But you learn that way.
I guess. Painful.
The
Painful.
Bronze 5 guys be beating your ass.
Dude, they better just make a new division for me. Just name it Cardboard 27,000.
There's gonna be like some division in Korea that's just
It's
called
just
American.
called NA. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just called NA. It's like below Bronze 5. All right. Well, with that, let's go over the patch notes. Patch 4.3 came out on the 28th. So there's been a couple changes. I haven't really got to try any out because of servers, but we can talk about them anyway. And we're just kind of go down the list here. There's been some changes to champions, but there's two specifically that I want to talk about, and that's changes to Kastin and Kha'Zix.
Well, I mean, also with they implemented Vel'Koz, which was like the big point of this whole patch. But yeah,
there's a new champion, but I haven't got to try him out yet.
Right.
So I'm not going to talk about him yet. So we're just going to talk about some of the things with Kassadin. They nerfed his Null Sphere. This damage is a little bit less, the base damage, and the silence is a little bit less. And also on his Force Pulse, the damage on that is a little bit less. And they're kind of nerfing Kassadin because if anyone's ever played ranked this season, Kassadin is banned. I think he has a pick or ban rate of 95%.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I know his the very first ban of every game, he has a 70% chance to get banned in the first pick for one of the teams.
Yeah.
Or banned for one of the teams. It's ridiculous.
And the thing is, like, at low elos, you don't really have to ban Kassadin. I think I've had Kassadin on my team like 3 times. I think we've won 1 game.
Well, people just, it's like with any champ in low elo that's supposed to, is super
Yeah, they're like, oh, I heard this champion's OP, but I've never played him before. I guess I'll pick him. And then they go like 0-10, and they're like, oh, shitty jungler.
Right. But you don't want to have that one time where you have someone who actually knows how to play Kassadin, because, he has so much mobility, plus his Q has such a crazy range, and does damage plus silence. Dude, that can just shut down your entire mid lane.
It can.
Well, the thing is his silence is a 2.5 second silence.
It
was
2.5 seconds. Now it's only 2.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, man. Hey, that 0.5 seconds can save your life.
That's a fact, though.
That's a flash.
Yeah.
That's a less hit.
That can be critical.
So that way he can jump on you, silence you, and land ignite and waste your flash away.
Yes.
Just pisses people off even more.
But yeah, some of the power of Kassadin is he's really good at roaming with his ultimate. He can get out of anything, almost. You can never catch the guy. And even when you're fighting him, you can't do anything because you're silenced the whole time. He can jump in, burst you down, and leave before you have time to react or do anything. Yeah. But at low elos, like when people don't understand how to play him, like every time that someone's picked Kassadin on my team, the other team picked Talon and just shut him down like completely.
Well, take this from the mid lane main. The problem with Kassadin, like people who don't know how to play Kassadin, and I've suffered this firsthand, is you have to wait until level 6 pretty much to go all in. And if you can be risky and pull something off early game, but the safe way to play him is wait to level 6 and then you just dominate your lane. And the biggest issue that I see with players who don't know how to play him is they just try and go all in right away. Oh, he's overpowered, I got this. And they die and they feed the other mid.
That happens with a lot of champions where they think they remember playing last game where they were the champion, and they were like, oh, so powerful late game after I had like 20 kills, and they're like, I bet at level 1 I'm just as strong or some shit. So like they'll just tower dive at like level 1 and just get killed. But I played one where our Kassadin was literally 0-7, and I was jungling.
That's good.
He was like, oh, it's this bug that's killing me. He was playing against a LeBlanc. I'm like, what fucking bug are you talking about? And he was like, every single time I went to gank for this guy, he was pushed up almost to the tower against the LeBlanc, so I couldn't gank for him. And he's like, oh, I need help. I'm like, you're fucking pushed to their tower. I can't tower dive the LeBlanc when you have no health. You're sitting under the tower. I'm like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, just stop pushing that hard and you'll be fine. Oh, God, I hate him so much. I hate him just because other people play him. I'm like, I don't care if I'm facing against a Kassadin. He's fucking annoying, but he can be dealt with sometimes. But when he's on your team and it's some shitty guy playing Kassadin, it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah.
Well, that covers Caston's change.
Let's talk about the Terrify changes.
Hold on.
You
I'm
guys
going
want
to
to
talk
talk
about
about Kha'Zix
Kha'Zix.
first?
Yeah, let's talk about Kha'Zix first. I'm kind of just scrolling down the page here, so we'll talk about the champions. We'll talk about Terrify in a minute. But Kha'Zix got a pretty big nerf, it seems like.
Yeah.
Well, have you seen how hard he's been carrying a lot of games?
Yeah, he's like the definition of a snowball champion, where if he gets that one kill early in the game, it transfers to mid game to late game, and he can just destroy an entire enemy team. And so they changed his Q. It was 8%. It did 8% of health damage, missing health damage, to 6%, and maximum damage versus monsters went from 200. It got cut in half. Now it's only 100. Because one thing that they were having trouble with is like at level 6, even sometimes before that, Kha'Zix could just solo dragon by himself like easily because all he had to do was jump on it and he would just Q it like 3 times and it was dead. So they get a nerf on that, and they did a huge nerf to his his leap. Its attack damage ratio.
Solo dragon at level 6, like Udyr, Shaco.
Udyr can, Shaco can. I know Trundle used to at level 6, but you used to be able to ult the dragon, and they changed that at some point. So he has more trouble now. I'm not sure who else can. I'm sure a lot of people can.
I was just kind of throwing that out there.
But on a Kha'Zix leap, his attack damage ratio, they nerfed it from 0.8 to 0.2.
God.
Yeah, so it's like not even relevant almost.
It's a quarter of the damage that it used to do. And I was listening, they kind of explained why they did this. They wanted Leap to be more of a utility instead of like something that bursts. It was never supposed to be
most
something
people are
that was
building
bursty.
Kha'Zix. They'll build they'll get a kill early and they'll build an assassin for like their first item. So like a something with armor pen and a lot of damage, and then they'll build him tanky after that, right? So he doesn't die.
Right. Well, sometimes they'll just build him straight burst, and he'll have the like resets and stuff that he can just take out a team. Like he'll wait until a team fight's about half done and everyone's kind of blown their ults, and then he'll jump in and just clean up.
Yeah.
And when he gets a kill and he gets a reset, then he can just leap over to somebody else, Q him, kill him, leap over to the next person, and he just does that until the entire team's dead.
Yeah, typically the only defensive item he'll get is like a Guardian Angel or something.
Yeah. So they've kind of nerfed him. I don't know how these changes are going to kind of play out. I don't know if that's going to take him off the table or if it's just going to make him more balanced. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's one thing. All right. Now we can move into the fear changes and the terrify changes.
Okay, well, I think
hold on
with this. What?
Let's tell him what it is.
Okay, well, I was going to get into that. Just hold your horses.
Well, I'm going to say it.
I'm looking into, these terrify changes the same way that I looked into any kind of MMO, like fear change, that they should have done, like, forever ago. So what they're doing is, instead of affected units with terrify running around in fear, they're now running away from whoever feared them.
Yeah, they've taken out the random number generator aspect of it, where when you fear something, the unit would just kind of move around randomly. Now it runs straight away from you, or the source of the fear. So like Fiddlesticks, it runs away from Fiddlesticks, it runs away from Nocturne, and it runs away from like Shaco's boxes.
So it's actually like a realistic fear. It's not just like, let's just run towards the person that's beating your ass.
Yeah, but it also runs away with impaired movement. So it's not like you're still running normal speed. You're slowed down.
Yeah, they've increased the slow, and they've taken away that random aspect, so it will run away from you. And there's one point that I read about that someone brought up is now your Terrify on Fiddlesticks counteracts the rest of your kit almost. Because with Drain, they've increased your cast range. That you can cast it on a target that's further away. Like the range that it like continues to drain at is still 750, but they've increased the cast range so you can cast it on target further away. So they say Terrify, even though it slows them down, it just counteracts your drain because you don't want them to run away from you and things like that. Same with Nocturne, where usually you cast your Terrify when someone's already running from you, and now it just kind of makes it worse because they're doing what they want. And there's kind of two things for that, where it's bad in a solo instance, but in a team fight, kind of, if you can get behind somebody and make them run away from you and into an enemy team, it's almost a buff. So I don't know if it's a nerf or a buff or just a change.
Yeah.
But
it's just going to be depending on like when you use
important.
it now. So it's about how you place the fear, I guess.
Yeah, positioning is going to be really key.
Yeah, position is definitely going to be key because if
more
so
key
you'll
than
probably
it already
see like
is.
a lot of like nocturne flash fears, just so you can get ahead of them, so that the person starts like running back the other way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's probably also going to make people use their flashes to get away more often, because if a Nocturne gets behind you and they start fearing you and you know that it's going to make you run into the other people, you're going to want to try to get around him to make you run into safety when that fear hits. So it's going to make some people flash over him. Fiddlesticks, I don't know how it's going to work with his Drain, really. Just if it is going to counteract it a whole lot, or if you just have to get into closer range to use the stuff, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, on a lighter note, the minor changes and bug fixes. They removed Kale's ult from the game. Just kidding, I wish.
That would be nice.
That would be nice. No, she got a ability icon update.
Yeah, there's some a bunch of minor changes, like Twisted Fate. He has new particles and shit like that.
Because everybody's been asking for those.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have been asking for like Twisted Fate stuff, but whatever. There's other changes, more important things. A kind of nerf to Doran's shield. It went from 100 health to 80, and health regen from 10 to 6. And they changed that because it was basically, if you were top lane, you had to get a Doran shield. If you were support, you had to get a Doran shield. And they kind of wanted to be more of an optional buy instead of a required one.
Yeah. The shoutcasters were talking about this during LCS. The reason that Doran's shield, the big reason Doran's shield got nerfed is like the NA meta for top lane right now is basically pick a really tanky champion and just sit up there and farm the entire game until a team fight, or like until dragon and you can teleport down.
Yeah.
So that what they want to do is they want to switch that around so it's not like the same 3 or 4 picks that you always see. Your Mundo, your Shyvana, or your Renekton. Like those are the top 3 picks for top lane right now.
Yeah, they were saying that was like the holy trinity of top lane right now was Mundo, Shyvana, and Renekton, and it was basically paper, rock, scissors, where I think Shyvana beat Renekton, Renekton beat Mundo, and Mundo beat Shyvana. And it was basically that order. And sometimes there was a Trundle in there.
Yeah, that's true.
So that
I've been playing a lot. Well, I was playing Riven quite a bit before these server issues. And that's pretty much all I ever saw. And I ended up having to take a Doran shield on Riven just to, survive against a Renekton.
Yeah, I know whenever I'm top lane, I always would take a Doran shield. Even before they changed Doran shield, I would take a Doran shield because I want that early game sustain. Right. And it's a really forgiving item. Like, even if you make a mistake and you kind of get screwed up a little bit, or you like lose an exchange early, you can just kind of sit back for a little while and all your health will come back.
Health, yeah, especially like as Garen or somebody like that, right?
Especially on Garen.
So after the changes, you think that you'll still pick Doran shield as like a first item?
Well, it'll probably depend on the champion. If I'm Mundo or somebody, Doran shield definitely. If I'm Garen, Doran shield. But if
it's nice to play, like, even as an assassin, to play, Doran shield, and then my first back I can grab like a brutalizer or something.
Yeah, if I have a really weak early game, as a top champion, I'm gonna get a Doran shield to make up for it. Just so I can and I'll probably play defensive until I hit like a couple higher levels, until the champion's early weaknesses are kind of filled in. And Dabney, I know you play support. You play Leona all the time.
Yeah.
And I remember playing the support like one random game. You're like, no, man, you have to get a Doran shield. You have to get a Doran shield. So, how do you think this is going to affect support?
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be more. I think this is what that was actually geared towards, was more for like supports playing with Doran shields instead of like the 3 items that they built specifically for supports. Because like when these first items got implemented, that's all supports got, and that's kind of like what they had in mind, was like, okay, we're going to help support out. We're going to give them specific items so that they can get in the lane, and it'll help them like through the rest of the game. And then as it went on, people realized that Doran shield was a better item than the support items to begin with. So people totally just went away from it, unless you were like Annie or something and you picked up like a Spell Thief's Edge or something, which you can just attack and get gold with. But yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get a Doran shield anymore playing like a tanky support, because it's not worth it really. because I can get like a relic shield, which will give me, what I need for bottom lane plus like the execute ability, so that
hold on now. Yeah. Since you bring up relic shield, let's jump into the support items.
Well, has he looked at those? Josh, have you looked at those?
Yeah.
Things. Okay, so go ahead and talk about them, man.
Relic shield, they changed that. The health, they buffed up the health from 50 to 75, but the health regen went from 6 to 0. It doesn't have health regen as the starting item or the starting anymore.
Yeah, so, neither one of the Ancient Coin or the Targon's or Relic Shield have the health regen anymore, which I think it sucks, but...
Yeah, so Ancient Coin doesn't have health regen anymore. The shield doesn't have it anymore. And did they change the other one? I don't see it on here.
The blade, basically what they did is they just reduced the mana regen and the ability power for it.
Alright, that was up a little bit. Alright, yeah, the Spell Thief's Edge, they reduced the ability power, they reduced the mana regen, but they added, or I think they added, your basic attacks do extra true damage. So it does 10 additional damage at for the Spell Thief's Edge, is the level 1 thing. So they nerfed Doran Shield because too many supports were picking it. Now they nerfed all the support items to kind of go with it.
Better get poor, son. Get poor.
Yeah, get fucked support.
Yeah.
Back to
it's
season
gonna
3.
be back to like the old days when nobody ever wants to play support anymore.
Yeah,
get off of my creep.
You're just a fucking walking ward dispenser, and that's like all you're gonna be. It's like, guys, remember when we were good for like a month or two? It's like, no one cares about you.
Remember when people actually banned support champs?
So they're gonna be like, shut the fuck up, Thresh. Just land one hook, go in, sacrifice yourself to get that one flay off, and your ult before you die. That's your only job now.
Pretty much, yeah. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know if it may affect a little bit just because of the health regen issues for all of the support items. But I think I'm still going to go with the support item over Doran Shield, but it's something I'm going to have to look at and work with and see how it plays out over time.
Yeah, the upgrades have health regen, or for the...
Yeah, once you get to upgrading them, yeah, they do.
But it's just that level 1 kind of thing. It doesn't have health regen. And it's kind of because supports have been like overly aggressive, I think, at the beginning of the game. Like, it was basically... if you were Leona, you hit level 2, and when you hit level 2, you go in. And I think they'll kind of want to get rid of that level 2 jump.
Yeah, and I knew that, like, especially with the Doran Shield, because I had so much health regen. Like, I was just like, okay, well, I'll just go in, and if my combo doesn't work, then it's okay, because I can just wait, a minute or so, and my health will be back full. Or I would just dive in just so that my ADC could poke a little bit and do a little bit of damage, then I could back up, and I had enough health regen that I would regenerate faster than their ADC or whoever I jumped on would.
Yeah,
and then we could just rinse and repeat.
It made poke supports kind of useless. Like, I was trying to learn Zyra, I remember, who's a pokey kind of support, and since everyone just picks Doran Shield, like, it kind of made her useless almost, because I could land at root, but after that, what am I supposed to do? Like, because I would be able to attack him or poke him. I couldn't poke him down, so every engagement they were just full health, and I couldn't poke him down. I couldn't do anything. So it's going to be interesting to see how it changes up the kind of support meta, because basically right now it's Thresh, Leona, Annie.
Rich as fuck.
So... And you got a Doran Shield on almost all of them, except Annie. I just build straight AP, because if I'm going to play support Annie, I'm going to carry some shit.
I think the nice thing with
Dropping
Annie,
bears for days.
Annie bot lane is, even if your mid messes up and loses their lane, you can pretty much take their spot as a support Annie. As long as you have a tank on your team, you're normally going to be fine.
That's how I build support Annie. Mm-hmm. I'm like, support Annie. I'm like, wards, I could get wards, or I could get a blasting wand.
That's how I build my support in Italy. I'm just like, dude, I got traps for that, man.
That's how I would build support in Italy.
I don't need wards.
For anyone that doesn't know, Nidalee is the worst support in the game. Worst team fighter in the game. Yeah. But if you're going to play Nidalee, she's so fun, because you can just chuck spears from across the map.
It's so satisfying.
She's like the human highlight reel, man.
God.
Yeah, it's like, I guess I'll be support Nidalee, and by support Nidalee, I mean I'm going to max out my spears.
I mean spear Nidalee.
That's why I've been playing her mid so much.
That shit's
so fun.
ridiculous. If you get like a kill before like level 6, you can start to take out literally half of an ADC's health.
Yeah, it's like it's so funny when you kill them and then they're coming to lane and you're kind of sitting in a bush and you hit them while they're coming into lane. They come into lane with like a quarter of health.
Yeah,
and it pisses them off so fucking much.
Too real.
All right, we've gone over the patch notes, or most of the important patch notes.
yeah.
So now we're gonna move on to our champion spotlight of the week, and it's gonna be the greatest.
Drum roll, please.
Hold on, sidebar, real quick. Just throw this out there. Team Builder is coming soon. It's in the beta. They're testing for it. If anyone doesn't know what Team Builder is essentially kind of like an MMO where you have your roles. Say you're a healer or you're a tank or whatever. You can now select what role you want to play. So if you want to be support,
system.
Yeah, you can say I want to play support, and that's
it's
what
like
you
a
go in the
dungeon
queue
finder.
for. Right. So it's supposed to be coming out soon. I got high hopes for it. I'll be honest with you. I'm pretty stoked about it. Because there's nothing worse than like wanting to play like support and then the 1 in a million chance that someone else wants to play support. And then you're like, cool, I guess I'll play something that I don't want to play.
Or when you want to play mid and then you call mid and somebody insta-locks mid. But, they're kind of doing a live beta test where it's going to be on the live servers, not just the PvE servers. And the dates that they were talking about that are kind of confusing. So, but it's kind of going to be a rollout. It's going to be, I think, this week, maybe next week. I think it's actually going to be this week.
I'm hoping that shows in some sort of log for when you report somebody. Because if somebody queues up as support, so they get like an instant queue, and then just lock says I'm mid, I'm mid, I'm mid. Hopefully that'll show so that people can report them and they get punished.
Yeah, probably, but it's going to be a
at least
rollout.
Ranked,
I think it's going to come out this week. It's going to be a 2-day live test. So for 2 days, they're going to test it out on the live servers. See what's wrong, see what's working. I'm gonna hopefully use the shit out of it. I hope the servers will let me use it, because I'll just be like, I can just play whatever I want. I don't have to worry about like the client lagging out for like 2 seconds at the beginning of the game where everybody calls every role except fucking ADC or support.
Is it gonna work with like duo queue? Because I may actually start playing with Konerman again.
It's not gonna be on ranked, but I don't know how it's gonna work.
What we should do is, I should go on like a like an extended leave for like a month and just train under some Korean master, and just come back.
Just train
and like literally just play on Korean servers for like a month straight.
Go from
I don't
silver
know
5 to challenge.
Karate
like,
kid over
straight
here,
up come
Mr.
back
Miyagi.
like diamond. People's like, what the fuck is going on?
He's got you doing like fucking like house chores, like washing his car and stuff, but he's making you doing it a certain way to like hit certain keys. So he's like, then he's like making you play League, and he's like, wax on, wax off, and like you get like a pentakill. It'll all work out. All right, but yeah, keep an eye out this week. The dates were confusing, but they are going to be rolling that out for a 2-day test where it's going to be a team builder, and it's basically Dungeon Finder. So now, with that, we'll roll into the champion spotlight of the week.
Drum roll this bitch.
For the best champion in the game, Galio.
The realest of them all.
The realest gargoyle in the game. The only one in the game.
All right, we need to preface this first. I know everybody's laughing right now, but you wouldn't laugh if you've seen Nick's Galio before. For whatever fucking reason, this dude can beat. I don't think I've seen you lose as Galio before. That I can recall.
I know I've lost one game. Not ranked, but a normal game I have lost as Galio, where everyone died and I was the last person up, and I fucked up my ult and like didn't catch the person I was trying to catch. So, and then we died and they beat us. But most games I do win as Galio because no one knows anything about him. Like, he's one of the least played characters in the game. Like, I think Urgot beats him in like least played, and then it's Galio.
Well, since nobody knows anything about him, let's hear from the Gargoyle Master.
All right. So let's go over his abilities.
All right.
His passive is called Runic Skin, and he gets 50.
Really broken.
Yeah, 50% of his total magic resistance becomes ability power. There, best champion already. Like, who's got a better passive than that?
Yeah, he's like the ultimate mid counter.
Yeah, That's why people. I don't care if people pick Caston. You pick Caston, I'm gonna pick Galio on your ass. Like, try to burst me down. Try it. It'll be funny. I'll laugh about it. It's just, you go Galio. Basically, you rush an Athene's Unholy Grail. So that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
So you rush that. It's got ability power, so you can hit harder. It's got magic resist, which counters every other mid lane almost, and gives you more AP and mana regen. And your one weakness is mana regeneration. So you get that item, you're pretty much unstoppable already. So runic skin, great passive. I love it.
I love it. I need it all in my life.
The next one is his main skill. It's called Resolute Smite. And it says Galio fires a concussive blast from his eyes to a target, and it deals magic damage and slows enemies hit for 2.5 seconds. And the magic damage is 80, 135, 190, 245, then 300, plus 60% of your AP. So it's got great base damage, and then it has really good scaling too. And the slow's pretty good. It goes up to 40%. So
cool.
Yeah, that Q it hits so hard later on, around level 10.
It shocks people when it hits them. They're like, I'm thanking Galio. It's like, whatever. I'll win this lane easy. And then you hit them with a Q and like half their health is gone. They're like, what the fuck just happened? And it's so funny. You max Q first, and you can clear out minion waves like before they even like start hitting your minions. Like, you can't push a lane against Galio.
It's not even possible.
It's not even possible. You can try it, but you'll fail.
Every time.
His W is one of my favorite abilities in the game. It's called Bulwark. And Galio shields an allied champion or himself for 4 seconds. He increases their armor and magic resist while the shield is on. And each time that unit takes damage, Galio is healed.
Mm-hmm.
And
which makes him deceptively tanky.
Yeah, exactly.
So the armor and magic resist that you have on the shield is 30, 45, 60, 75, then 90 armor and magic resist. And
which
then
is pretty high.
Yeah, the heal is 25, 40, 55, 70, and then 85, plus 30% AP. So, with this ability, you get a, I can't think of the name of it. What's the, it's got cooldown reduction and increases healing on you.
Spirit Visage.
Yeah, Spirit Visage. You get a Spirit Visage. Spirit Visage. It's got magic resist, so it goes into your passive. It increases the healing that you receive, so it goes with your Bulwark, and it increases your cooldown reduction.
So you buy that second?
Yeah, and your health. Okay. So it makes you tanky, and it adds to all your other abilities. So
do you build health on Galio? Eventually?
I'll kind of talk about the item build after we go over the abilities. I remember I had a Vayne chasing me. I had less than 5% health, and I would cast Bulwark on myself. And every time she hit me, it healed me for more than she hit me for. So she was chasing me literally across a map from their base all the way to ours. And I was hitting her with Qs and E's the entire way. And I took her from full health and killed her because she just chased me down thinking she was going to get that heal with one more hit. And I just cast Bulwark on myself the whole time, and she couldn't do it. She was helping me. And
she's practiced being Soraka.
Yeah. And you guys remember when I was fighting that Udyr in 3s?
Yeah.
Where Udyr was hitting me, I would get to half health, cast Bulwark on myself, and I'd go back up to full.
I just remember seeing when your Q would hit him. I was like, Jesus Christ, what is that huge just burst of damage?
But
Q
that
hurts.
just plays into people just don't know Galio. If anyone knew Galio, when they saw you put your shield on, they'd wouldn't attack until it went away. And then they'd start attacking, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, another thing with Bulwark is because it puts on magic resist, up to 90% or 90 magic resist, that builds into your passive also. That 90 magic resist, you get 50% of that as ability power also.
So you're getting 45 ability power.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So
you can use that as a buff to give yourself a little bit more oomph on your attacks, huh?
Ultra.
Yeah, and because you can cast it on other people, if when I see people running into a team fight and I'm low, I just cast that on, and I'll heal up to almost full health just because they're taking all the damage and I'm leaving. So, I don't know. It's the best ability.
Cool. So his E is Righteous Gust, and this is the giant tornado that he creates. Galio unleashes a gust of magical wind that deals magic damage to all enemies in its path. A directional draft remains for 5 seconds, and that increases the movement speed of all of your allies passing through it.
Yeah. So all allies, including minions. So if you kill the team and you're trying to push a tower, and your minions are nearby, you can cast this, and your minions will go in it too, and they'll speed up towards the tower. But the magic damage on it's not as much as your Q, but it's still really good. It's 60, 105, 150, 195, 240, and it's got 50% AP scaling. And the movement speed goes from 20% at first level to 52% at max level. So it doesn't hit as hard as your Q, but it's pretty significant when you hit somebody with a QE combo.
Yeah.
They're gonna know that you hit them with something.
They gonna feel it.
All right, you go over his ultimate.
All right. His ultimate is called Idol of Durand. And it says, Galio becomes a statue, channels for 2 seconds, taunting nearby foes and reducing incoming physical and magical damage by 50%. When the channel ends, Galio bursts out of his statue form, dealing magic damage to enemies within range. And the damage is increased for 5% for each attack suffered while channeling. And it can be canceled.
Does that include auto attacks?
Yeah. That's the only thing that people will cast on you while you're channeling is auto attacks, because they're taunted. Unless they're outside of your ult, they can cast other things. So the magic damage on it's 220, 330, 440. Goes up by 110 each time, and it's 60% AP. So,
Jesus.
Yeah, that ultimate's ridiculous too. When you catch a team with that ultimate, it's pretty much over.
Yeah, it wins team fights if you can catch people in it. And
flash ult.
Yeah, well, I found that Sivir and Galio work really well together because you have Galio's E, which increases everybody's movement speed, and then Sivir's ult, which also increases everyone's movement speed. So you can really get into a team fight quickly, and then as soon as Galio's in the middle of that team, he just ults. And I mean, how long is that again? That ult? 2 seconds?
2 seconds.
That's a 2-second CC. That's ridiculous. And they're going to take damage at the end. It's like Nunu, but a taunt.
Yeah, this thing can be used so well with so many other champions. Orianna's ultimate. If she throws the ball at Galio, he jumps in and uses that, and everyone comes in close, and then she ults it. Everyone gets caught in it. Plus, his ult still hits him at the end. Nunu's ult, Fiddlestick's ult, Amumu's ultimate,
combo.
Malphite's ultimate, which goes into Yasuo's ultimate.
Exactly.
It pretty much lines up.
Also?
Yeah, if you can get the whole team in it, it pretty much lines up their team to be hit by all other ultimates in the game.
It's ults for days.
Yeah, just ults for days. Abilities for days. Kill people for days. But
straight up cold-blooded.
So with that, I'm kind of going to go into some of the items I always build on Galio. First thing first, usually Galio's going mid. That's where I take him. I guess you could take him support. I don't know why you would do that, but I guess you could. So first thing I always build, Athene's Unholy Grail. You want the AP, you want the magic resist, cooldown reduction, and mana. You use everything from that item, and nothing goes to waste. And it's just the perfect item for Galio. Next thing I get is Spirit Visage, which is going to give you your health. It's going to make your W better. Gives you more magic resist that goes into your passive. And it's going to give you more cooldown reduction. Then after that, it's kind of up in the air. Like, those two items are kind of his required items, or for me at least. After that, I'm either going to build Bursty or Tanky. And when I build Tanky, I'm going to get a Thorn Mail 1, because that kind of goes with your ult. It makes people automatically or auto attack you. So the damage they do to you is going to be reflected back at them. And it just kind of builds into your ult. And it's going to help your armor, which is low on Galio, because everything you get is usually magic resist. So I like getting a Thorn Mail on that.
So that kind of comes down to, depending on what you're playing. If you're playing an AP heavy team, obviously you're just going to keep building magic resist.
Yeah, if you're playing an AP heavy team, no need to get Thornmail. But usually, people are going to see you pick Galio if you pick them in ranked, and they're going to try to pick AD champions.
So that leads me to a question: how strong is Galio against an AD mid?
He's good if you understand that you're weak against ADs. If you use his Q range and his E range against a person, and you cast Bulwark on yourself whenever they come in to try to hit you, you'll be just fine. Because I'm trying to think of who I fought. It was Zed, I want to say.
Yeah,
I fought a Zed.
Really popular mid.
Yeah, so all his stuff scales off AD. I did just fine because he'd try to hit me with a shuriken. I'd walk into minion range and cast W on myself and heal myself because every time you're hit by a minion, it's just like if you get hit by a person, your W is going to heal you for every hit you take. So I'd walk into the minion wave on purpose, take the hits, clear out the minion wave automatically with Q and E, and we just kind of look at each other. And he's like, I can't do any damage to this guy because his W's going to heal it. And I'm like, I can screw with this guy at a range. I'd still build my Athenes because your bandit regeneration sucks on Galio. Like, early level, it's awful. You cast a couple of Qs, you're going to be out. So
Does he need blue buff?
Once you get Athenes, you don't need blue buff.
Okay.
But it's kind of saying no mid really needs blue buff if they have Athenes. You know, it's obviously going to help.
An edge.
Yeah. It's going to make your cooldowns better. It's going to make you be able to spam your spells even more than you already are. And it helps. So I wouldn't say he needs it, but he's not hurt by it.
Okay, sure. Makes sense.
So,
what else do you have on? Do you have anything else on Galio?
Well,
that's
usually,
pretty short and sweet.
I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about. He's the best champion in the game. What else do you need to say? You kind of build your items, you get your Athenes, you get your Spirit Visage.
What was that Gargoyle show, that cartoon?
Gargoyles?
Was it called Gargoyles?
Yeah.
Told you, man. He's been watching that YouTube of the 90s.
Dude, I remember watching that shit. That show was awesome.
Good comment.
It was a good one.
It's really relevant to Galio.
Go back.
Yeah.
It is. He's a gargoyle. So.
But yeah, those are some of the things I built on Galio, and he's always item dependent, you know. Sometimes I'll get a Randuin's Omen just so if people are chasing me or they're staying spread out in team fights where I don't think I can catch them all, maybe I'll forego the Thornmail or the Thornmail and I'll get the Randuin's Omen just so they can't chase me down every time they hit me. It slows them or something like that. But you want to get some kind of armor item because when you use your ult, people are going to auto attack you, and you need to be able to counteract that. You know, you cast your W on yourself before you use your R. Or you're supposed to. But sometimes you don't have time. Sometimes you got to flash in, like when you see a chance and use it to catch the team. And one of the weaknesses of Galio, I'll go over some of the weaknesses right now.
Okay.
His ult is so easy to interrupt. And you can screw yourself up so bad when you use it.
Yeah.
Like if the other team has a Garen on their team, and you use your ultimate, and he hits Q, if he hits you with a Q, it's going to break your ultimate because you're silenced. Vi's ult, any kind of knock up, any kind of stun, any kind of silence can break your ultimate.
Yeah, if you actually looked at the list of the different things that do negate his ultimate, I think it's like upwards of like 30 different abilities.
Yeah.
It's anywhere from like Aatrox's Dark Flight, Bandage Toss, Null Sphere.
Yeah, Bandage Toss, Null Sphere, Riven Qs or stuns.
What's the item? Is it Banshee's
It's
Veil
ridiculous.
that blocks a spell? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
So I guess that works against it, right?
Well, there's some speculation that I've read about how Galio's ultimate actually works, whether it's a full channel or if it's multiple, like 0.5 second channels that catch on. So I'm not 100%. I haven't really tested that since I've read that because the server's been screwing up. So I can't say for sure, but there is a possibility that can counter it.
Okay.
Quicksilver Sash also, if it's a one long channel, will let you get out of it.
Banshee's Veil if it's up.
Yeah. Another thing, with weakness on his ultimate, there's some champions that have a range where they can auto attack you and it's not going to be able to catch them, like Caitlyn or a max level Tristana. If you cast your ult, then you might be able to catch them. But I've actually had them taunted on me, and they were standing outside the circle. So they were hitting me through the ultimate, but they didn't take any damage at the end.
Okay.
So, you know, it's one of those things. People don't play them for a reason, but I'm going to play him. And I'm going to take advantage of the fact that no one knows how he works. No one knows what his weaknesses are, because I know what his weaknesses are, but do they? Especially in like bronze and silver and stuff, do they know how Galio works? Probably not.
Even in our rank 3s, man, like you pick Galio and the other team's just like, what?
They're like
they don't know how to react to a Galio.
Yeah, people think Galio's a joke, but they're going to stop laughing
Yeah.
They gotta stop.
Feel it.
They gotta feel it. They're gonna get the fear in them. I'm gonna look at them with my gargoyle eyes. I'm gonna hit them with that Q a couple times. They just gotta know. Like every time I pick Galio, remember when we were that one team where they had a Shyvana, and I'd run up to the Shyvana and like laugh at her face, like with half health, and cast my W, and she automatically just cast that burn because that's what Shyvana does is burn. And every time that would hit me, it'd heal me. So I'd go up to half health, just laugh at her face, and she'd start attacking me, and I cast W and go back up to full, and then I go back to farming. And she's just like, "What the fuck am I supposed to do?" Like people just don't know how to react when you cast W on yourself, and they're like, "All right, I'm hitting this guy. He's low. Wait, why does he have more health?" I just don't know what to expect out of Galio. That's why I play him.
He's definitely a strong champ if you know what you're doing. Kind of like Poppy.
Yeah.
I wish somebody could play Poppy here.
I was listening to another podcast today where they were talking about, they're like, if someone picks Poppy, then they're not a troll, you know they're a really good player. Like,
yeah.
That's kind of how Galio is too. Like if you know how to play these underplayed champions, I'm not really gonna say Urgot because he has a really strong early game, but his late game falls off hard. But someone like Poppy, someone like Galio, if you know how to play these like really underutilized champions that kind of people write off, then you can just destroy people because people have no idea how to counter them anymore. Even people like Fiora nowadays, like where not many people play Fiora and stuff anymore. People just don't know how to deal with it.
I thought you just hit R on Fiora and you won.
Yeah, you do.
Pretty much.
Oh, okay.
Well, first you parry and then you are.
Okay.
It's 2 abilities, not just 1.
Okay.
All right. Do you guys have anything else to add on Galio? I know you guys don't really play him.
Yeah, we don't really play him too much. I mean, just the biggest thing that I've noticed for like Galio players is like you'll see some Galio players that all they'll build is like magic resist, and then like an ADC will just come up and just like totally wipe them off the map because they have no armor whatsoever.
Yeah, they don't understand that. It's like, yeah, no AP can touch me, but
yeah,
ADCs can. Like you have to take it. You have to remember that AD damage does exist, and you will probably be hit by it at some point.
Especially during that ultimate.
Yeah,
because you'll see them. They'll be like, "I need to max out as much magic resist as I can, so I can get ability
power." I have a
power.
quick question for Galio. On your ultimate, if you die during your ultimate, does it blast everybody with the damage?
Yes.
Okay.
So
that's all. Yeah.
When it's interrupted and stuff, it still hits people with the damage, just not nearly as much of it. So the damage radius is reduced, first off, and then the damage is reduced. So if they interrupt it, it's kind of like if someone interrupts Nunu's ult, where it's just not going to hit them as long as we've got the full channel.
Cool.
All right. So
this segment.
Yeah, the special segment this week, we're going to talk about jungling. Jungling and you.
Special.
Yeah. So, I've been kind of main in jungle with ranked. Zeismo, you're pretty good at jungling, or you at least know what to do. Beastum, you just started jungling like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So
he plays a pretty good Warwick. It's kind of scary when you hear his howl.
Yeah, you know how to jungle Warwick. There's that. So, I kind of want to start off with you about what your thoughts are on jungling, because you're the newest to it. Like, what do you notice when you're jungling? What do you have trouble with? Things like that.
Jungling for me is just, it's been different simply because I'm so used to confining myself to a lane, whatever lane that may be, and then just worrying about what's going on, and then just occasionally looking at my mini map and back to my lane and making sure that I'm not getting ganked from some random dude. When I'm in the jungle, man, it's just, I don't even know if I really look at the main map. I'm more looking at the mini map just to see who's pushed up where can I go, trying to focus on like the clocks for the timers of my buffs, and where could the other jungler possibly be. So it's just like a lot more information to keep track of than what I'm used to as far as like being in the lanes. I haven't really mind jungling so far. Like you said, I've been playing mainly Warwick, but I've been doing a lot of Kha'Zix jungle too whenever I play like fives, like normal games or whatever. And I've been doing pretty good. Like I usually go and, start off with my red and try to invade their red, because I know that's exactly where they go, because most junglers, they start with their blue or whatever. Or I'll start at my blue and try to invade his red. But the biggest thing for me is just the timing of all of my buffs and keeping track of everything, plus when is a good time to gank. And another thing that I have trouble with whenever I'm jungling is how long do I need to wait in a bush? You know what I mean? Like you'll see like maybe there's an opportunity, you know there's no ward in there, but how long is too long, and how, you know, when do you leave too early type of thing? And that's kind of like some of the issues that I'm running into is like,
is my patience going to pay off?
Yeah. If I would have waited like a couple more seconds, he would have just
pushed
pushed away.
Is this warded and they're just surrounding me right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, those are some of the things that I've noticed since I started jungling, is trying to just keep a track of everything and just, you know, when's the best time to do all of the different things that you have to do as a jungler. Because, I mean, it's not only just jungling that I've noticed. Like, even when I've watched some of, like, the pro players, like, those guys, they put down a lot of wards. They ping a lot of different things. They kind of, when they're jungling, they kind of control a lot of the things that are going on in the map, and which has been different for me. So it's a little
and
bit
their
to get
map
used
awareness
to.
is also like so incredibly high.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you see them, like, you see red team take dragon, and without like hesitation, the other team's taking like top tower. Like, they don't even think about it. So that's one of the things you have to remember when you're talking about the pros.
Yeah, but we're not the pros. We're all silver, with exception to Dabney, who's gold 5 and hasn't really been playing, and when he does play, kind of loses. Ain't that how it's going right now?
Still got that LP. Still got it.
Zysmo, you used to jungle all the time,
yeah,
and now you've kind of fallen off in favor of mid lane. So what would you do when you were jungling?
Yeah, I started mid lane. Let's see, some of I started jungle, sorry, and my main junglers were, let's see, Amumu. Trying to kind of run through the list. Amumu, Elise, Shyvana, Lee Sin. I played a few others, kind of just for shits and gigs, but I think my very first champion that I ever bought was Amumu, and that's kind of one of the first points I'm going to make is Amumu's a very passive jungler. He's not good until level 6. And that's one of the issues that I run into a lot, especially now when I play a Mumu and somebody on the other team knows what to do against a Mumu, and that's simply just to counter jungle him. If you can counter blue, holy shit, dude, I'm so fucked. Like, you can just ruin my day.
What was when I would jungle and I was Udyr that one game?
Oh yeah, I remember that. We made sure there was a ward on both of his buffs. I do the same thing whenever I get when I play Elise, dude, she does so much damage so quickly that you just put wards on the enemy team's buffs, and as soon as you see that motherfucker run over there, it's just like, let me walk over there and say hi. And you're either going to get a buff or you're going to get a kill, or both. Yeah,
especially early game, because Amumu, late game, he can be pretty strong, but early game, like especially if you're somebody like Lee Sin or Udyr or somebody who can duel, he's not going to be able to fight you for it. He's going to have to hope that his teammates are going to come to help. And at low elo, it's probably not going to happen because they don't have map awareness and they don't know what the fuck is going on.
One of the things also with a Mumu jungle is it's almost guaranteed if you're at a pretty decent elo that the other team is going to invade your blue because they know that you can't fight level 1. Now, on the contrary, if you take your Q versus a Mumu and you have a stun, then maybe your team can turn it around. But that's beside the point. With a Mumu and, let's see, another jungler that I play a lot is Shyvana. They're both very, they're late game champions. They're really tanky late game. So you basically just sit in the jungle until you get your ultimate, and that's when you kind of come out and gank. And you have to let your your lanes know you're not going to come in and gank until later, because 3 minutes in when somebody dies, oh, it's fucking jungler, man.
It's like, dude, I was pushed up all the way to the tower and I died. Yeah. Must be the jungler's fault.
Yeah. But yeah, some of the things that you really have to look at is what kind of style do you like to play, especially when you're looking at jungling. Because like I said, Mumu and Shyvana are very late game based champs. Now, when you get into junglers like Udyr or Lee Sin or Elise, those guys can duel very early.
Yeah, they're strong early game, damage, strong mid game, strong late game. Those are my champions.
Mm-hmm. So if you like to, if you're an experienced jungler try and play a more aggressive jungle because you can evade and you can steal the other team's buffs. There's nothing that sets the other team further behind than you just basically farming the other jungler's jungle. When you can do that, then you can basically, you have free roam on whatever the fuck you want, because if he shows up, you're 2 levels ahead of him. You're just like, let's go, bitch. So you pretty much can just roam wherever you want, and at that point, you pick a lane and you snowball it.
Right. With this season, I've pretty much been focusing on the jungle. That's been my main role for almost all the ranked games I've done, is jungle Udyr. That's basically been the only thing I've played, and I got myself from Bronze 2 up to Silver 3 so far with it, and it's been working pretty great. So, some of the things I've noticed and learned just this season is, I know my map awareness has gotten way better. You pretty much keep your eyes glued on the minimap, and you have to know what's going on. And when you see the other jungler show up on your minimap, you have to look at them. It's like, do they have their double buffs on? Should the double buffs be up? What are the timers at? It's like, so you see them show up in a lane. If you see them bot lane and they don't have the red buff on, and it's like 5 minutes into the game, you're like, all right, the red buff's up. You should make a beeline straight to that red buff,
right,
and take it.
What does Trick say? It's like red buff over team.
Yeah, he's like red buff. He's like red buff over team. He was like, I will bait my team, and they will all dive so I can get that red buff. He's like,
if you can deny the other jungler just one of those major buffs the entire game, it doesn't matter which one it is, as long as you're taking one of them, they will fall behind in levels very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And especially if they're dependent on that buff, that's really going to fuck them. It's really going to put them behind.
Yeah, that's especially if you're against a passive jungler like a Mumu, and you're someone like Udyr. Like, I love playing against a Mumus, because if you listen to a bunch of other podcasts and things like that, they'll say, oh, if you're low elo, just pick a Mumu. You can just, it's an automatic win. Not if you're jungling against me, it's not. Because, like, remember, I picked Udyr, like, first pick. The very next pick was a Mumu. And I laughed so fucking hard.
I remember that game, yeah.
Like, I was just like, they picked a Mumu! Ah! Like, I was like, I got this. I would take blue and just run automatically to the red buff, because Amumu started blue. He has to, pretty much. So I just run, wait in the bush, see him taking red, he's almost got red, I just jump in, kill him. He doesn't have blue buff anymore, I took his red, he's behind on levels. Then, because he doesn't have blue, he's fucked. He can't do anything. Right. Especially early, because he's so mana dependent.
You clear a few more creep out of his jungle.
Yeah, clear a couple more creep. He's going to be like level 3 by the time you're 6. And he's so easy to just counter jungle. Like, counter jungling is so important. One thing I've started doing, you have to pretend the jungle is a lane. And but instead of you have your creeps and their creeps, just imagine it's all your creeps. And you have to go get your creeps. You have to go get your CS. So go in the other person's jungle. Like,
just be greedy as fuck.
Yeah,
Everything
just be greedy as fuck. You're like, oh, they're bot. It's like, I could go help bot lane, which would be a waste of time, or I could shut their jungler down for the next 5 minutes while they try to clear out like the little wraith in their jungle.
Okay, this brings up a good point. I remember when Josh was mentioning, mids taking 5 minutes to get to bot lane to chase their other mid in a previous podcast that we did. It's the same thing with jungler. If you see that jungler bot lane, you gotta think, okay, he's bot lane. I'm at my blue or whatever. So that's gonna take me. By the time I get down there, I might be able to clean up if they have a successful gank, or I can definitely go into his jungle and just take out a whole side of his jungle right now.
Well, that's one thing you have to kind of weigh. When you see your lanes pushing the enemy lanes, you have to, in your mind, know that the other jungler sees that. And they're probably going to make their way to that lane and try to gank, because they're pushed past the midway point. So they're like, that's the lane I'm going to gank. So you have a choice. You can either go down there or go wherever that lane is, because you know that's where the other jungler is going to try to show up, and you can counter gank. Or you can warn your team that they're probably going to get ganked. You can wait for him to show up, and then you can go and invade and take all his, like, half of his jungle. So either way, you have to understand where your team's at. You have to understand where the enemy team's at. And you have to know what the other jungler is likely to do. He's probably going to gank the lane that's pushed. And you have to be there to gank him, or you have to be ready in position to take the side of the jungle that he's not at.
Okay, if you're just learning to jungle, and if you are if you're pretty comfortable jungling, the best way to learn how to counter jungle is constantly watch your minimap and wait for to see the other jungler. Wait for him to pop up in a lane or something, and that's when you go in and take his jungle. That's going to give you kind of a idea of the flow of how junglers run in and out of the jungle, and it's going to start basically teaching you how to watch for their jungler. And he's top lane, let me go take his bottom jungle right now since he can't defend it. Or he's top lane and our bot lane is pushed, let me go gank bot lane because I know he can't respond in time.
Yeah, and another thing is help your jungler out. What I've started doing ever since I've been practicing jungling and just being in the jungle in general, as like a support or top laner, every time I see their jungler, I will ping that jungler and I will say this is where he is. And I will say if he has buffs or not. And I'll just say that in chat just to let my jungler know what's going on, just in case he's not looking at it. Maybe he's looking at a different lane and didn't notice the half second that a Wukong ran by a ward or something like that. Yeah. And I just happen to be there looking at him.
Yeah. And one of the
so then I can help my
also
jungler out. That way he can go and counter gank, because then that'll help me in the long run. So just because you're not jungling doesn't mean you can't, ping the other jungler or notice where he's at, or help your other jungler by warding the enemy jungler's jungle itself.
Oh yeah, that's
or
a
warding
big
your
thing.
jungle.
What I've seen a lot
warding
of,
your jungle.
On pro
you don't
play
always have to
and
just
on
ward your lane.
the normal play is your whole team almost should take a pink ward and put it somewhere in your jungle so that you,
that's a requirement
because the other team should not be in your jungle, and if you somehow miss them running through your jungle, you're gonna see them destroying that pink ward, because that's just gonna disappear off the map.
Yeah,
because that's gonna last the entire. That's one of the
it
best
lasts the entire
gold.
game. Unless someone takes it out, and in your jungle, they're putting themselves at risk,
right?
Because if they're destroying the pink ward, they know they're seen, for one, and they know they're standing still if they're destroying it. So likely they'll try to leave unless
How much
they're
health
dumb.
does that have?
Right?
It has like
it's
6,
5 hits.
It has 5 hits.
Yeah.
So that's going to take that's 5 auto attacks, and you're so fucked if 2 lanes converge on you as soon as they see that happening. Like that's probably one of the best 100 gold investments that you can make in League right now is on a vision ward and putting it somewhere on your side where the other team should not be going.
Yeah, and
like
even if you don't see somebody there, it's still good because at least they're not there. It narrows down the possibilities of places that the other jungler could be. So that's when you're jungling. We're kind of talking. We're just pretty much going over counter jungling right now. Mm-hmm. But when you're jungling and you have another jungler in your jungle, you need to ping the shit out of him. Wait for him to kind of try to take something, and then you need to tell the other lanes converge on that dude. So if there's a Lee Sin in your jungle taking your golems, you need to ping your top lane and say, hey, there's a free kill right here.
And also, one of the things that I've noticed in lower elos, don't just ping them once, man. Ping them like 3 times or even max out your ping. Sometimes it'll piss people off, but at least they know there's somebody in their fucking jungle.
Yeah, because they'll be like, well, I can't help counter jungle, or I can't help my jungler right now. I've got to get my CS, if you miss
this last wizard creep.
I got to get this last wizard creep. If if you got to miss a couple CS and you can go get a free kill, and that one, it clears up all the lanes for safety because they know while he's dead, he's not ganking. It lets your jungler go and invade their jungle with safety because he's not going to get ganked by their jungler while he's dead. And it's free gold. It's like a free kill, free gold, and it helps the entire team to just kill the enemy jungler.
It's a team game. It's not about you. It's
so you need to collapse on that jungler if you see him skulking around your jungle.
Not to mention, you can talk a whole lot of shit in all chat afterwards.
And you'd be like, yeah, bitch, stay on your side, bitch.
There's a line, and you crossed it, motherfucker.
You see that river? That's a line. Don't come back across. It's like, but I cross whenever I want. I ride the boat across.
I fly like a gargoyle, Galio style.
Yeah, just don't even touch the water. So we've talked pretty much about counter jungling in the jungle and how to deal with counter jungling.
Do you want to talk about
ganking?
Okay, that's what I was going to say.
Okay, we were kind of talking about when your lane is pushed, or you have a lane that's pushed. you have to know the enemy jungler's probably going to go down there. So you can counter gank him. Or I kind of in my head, there's an imaginary line in every lane, and there's a midway point. So as soon as the other enemy or the enemy team or the enemy lane crosses that line, that's when in my head, I'm like, this is the time to gank.
Time to go.
Yeah, time to make my way down there because they're pushing. This is the best time. I mean, later and stuff, tower diving, it just depends on the champion. It just depends on who the teammates are with, the skill of the other player. There's a lot of factors with tower diving and stuff. But early level, when you're ganking, you don't want to waste your time just going down there for no reason. If they're not past that halfway mark, they can probably get away.
Just go creep. Just get more creep. You're going to make yourself stronger, so the next time you have a chance to gank, you can.
Yeah, if all the lanes are kind of even, or all your lanes are pushing, don't worry about what they're doing. Clear your jungle and preferably go to the enemy jungle because when they see all lanes pushing, they're going to gank something.
If all of your lanes are winning, then there's really no reason for you to gank. You don't want to fuck up a good thing. If it works, don't try and fix it. Just let it run out, and you just worry about you and your jungle.
Yeah. That's one thing a lot of people do. They'll get their double buffs, and then they'll just try to gank. They're like, let me go up top. That didn't work. Let me go mid. That didn't work. Let me go bot. That didn't work. And, they're still level 3 by the time everyone else is level 6. And now they're under-leveled, and they're like, well, I'm fucked now. So don't just waste your time trying to gank lanes that are not going to be ganked. Sit in your jungle and just clear it out if that's what it does. Let the other guy fuck around and get under-leveled and lose out on the creep and levels and experience.
Just counter jungle him. You see him running out right at the buff timer. You just run right in and go ahead and steal some creep.
Yeah, go ahead and steal a buff. Steal 2 wolves. You got to leave him one wolf. You got to leave him one wolf, leave him one wraith. He's got a jungle too. You don't want to take everything.
Sometimes you just want to be just absolute, like a total dick. You just take everything.
Yeah.
Don't leave anything.
If you kill the other jungler or he dies in a lane or something like that,
that's like a victory lap.
That's a victory lap. You need to do a victory lap in his jungle and take everything on the way.
Make sure you disrespect to the maximum too. Don't do that. That always gets me killed.
Yeah, if you see them die or they're ganking a lane, it's so important. I can't stress it enough how important it is to counter gank or counter jungle. It's winning the lane. Just imagine the jungle's a lane and you're just denying the enemy. They lose out on experience, they lose out on buffs. Everything is better when they don't have it. If you have it and they don't, you won.
Even if play Lee Sin and get blue buff. Who gives a fuck? You don't have mana, but he does.
He got that cooldown.
Yeah, he's got mana. Take his blue buff. He ain't no more. He ain't got no more mana. It doesn't matter what you are.
Where can I find some friends?
I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, okay. So let's talk about pushing lanes as a jungler.
All right, pushing lanes as a jungler. I'll just talk about what I do when I see the enemy jungler ganking a lane. I've got my choices. I can go in his jungle, I can counter gank, or I can push a different lane, and that's one of those things. So you have to make the choice first of all. But if you are making that choice that you're gonna push another lane, and usually is the other lane safe down bot? Yeah, they're gonna be fine. Is the other jungler full health or didn't take much damage, and he's gonna go right back to his jungle? Okay, so I'm gonna push this lane before anybody can respond to it. And what I'll do is, you just see him, and as soon as you do, just push as hard as you can. There's nothing else to it. It's push that lane hard as you can. You're going to probably take the tower, depending on who you are and who you're with, before they can do anything about it.
Okay, so kind of my strategy when with pushing lanes and jungling is when I gank and I have a successful gank, so say it's top lane or it's especially top lane. When I get a successful gank on top, I'll ping the fuck out of that tower. I don't care how low my top laner is. I just ping, and let him know, hey, we're taking this tower or we're going to knock it down really low. Because what that forces the other team to do is it either forces the other team's top laner to blow a teleport or their jungler to just haul balls to try and save that top tower. And at that point, he's wasting experience. He's also wasting gold. Because, you're two people, you can always... depending on who's low or whatever, you guys can always cover for each other. You can get away. you just, especially it's so key early game, just to put as much pressure on the other team as possible. And when you do that, it forces them just to totally deviate from their game plan.
Yeah. It's like I was saying in another podcast. You want them to react to you. You don't want to have to react to what they're doing. You want them to react to what they're doing.
Always be on the offensive.
Yeah. Well, not always, but most of the time. All right. So we've talked about jungling. One more thing I want to do before we end the show, because we've already been talking for an hour and 10 minutes. Your 2 favorite junglers and why you pick them and when you pick them. So, Beastum, since you're the least experienced jungler, let's start with you. I know you pick Warwick. Who else do you pick and why?
Kha'Zix. Before the patch, it was Kha'Zix simply because of his burst damage. He's just an easy jungler, in my opinion. I mean, all you gotta do is you start with, I think it's your W, and which is like your wave clearing, your missile attack, whatever it is.
Right.
And that gives you your lifesteal, and then level up your Q first, and then you evolve your Q or E. And from there, I mean, it's easy money. You just run around invisible, fly into the lane, Q, W, rinse and repeat after you kill him. I mean, Kha'Zix he was so broken, it was ridiculous. So all I did was just run around in my jungle, do whatever I could to get levels as fast as I could. And, I mean, his damage output was crazy for, like, level 1.
Yeah.
So,
if you can get somebody isolated, especially...
Yeah.
And counter jungling on Kha'Zix is really easy because they're isolated in the jungle. So
exactly.
If you go in the jungle and they're there, you won almost because you're gonna hit them hard.
Yeah, and I would ward like their buffs in like weird areas, and I would just sit in the dark, and so that I would like say I would ward like their bush or something, and I would sit at the opposite end, like over the wall where no one would ever walk or be. And then as soon as like the buff got low, I would just jump over the wall on top of them and the buff. Like attack, I would like cue the buff and then like smite it really fast, take it, and then just kill them. It was just ridiculous.
All right.
But yeah, those were the 2 main champs that I played, him and Warwick. Warwick was more of a 3s champ. I don't like playing Warwick per se in 5s simply because he's so reliant on level 6. That if I'm not level 6, then I feel like I can't do anything.
Yeah, there's some champs that you kind of have to sit in the jungle until level 6. You know, Warwick is one of them because he doesn't have any kind of hard CC before level 6. Other ones are kind of Wukong, you know, you want to get his ult and things like that. So there are junglers that they're not early game junglers. And so the lanes do know that, hopefully, when you're like, hey, I'm Warwick, you shouldn't expect a gank before level 6.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of level 6 junglers, my 2 top picks, not necessarily my favorite, but my 2 top picks for jungler are, my first one is a Mumu, and that's simply because at low elos, my Q and R combo is completely devastating to the other team. If I can land a Q on the ADC and an ult right afterwards, that ADC is just vaporized before my ult's even done. And it really just ruins their team fight. That's about it for a Mumu. My second highest pick. That's really what it comes down to, man. That wombo combo is too strong.
Yo, if I could add one thing about a Mumu, if anybody listens to this podcast like, oh, I'm gonna try a Mumu, please, for everything that is good about League of Legends, do not build a Mumu for damage. Yeah. Build him as a tank.
Well, do not build an AP a Mumu if you're if you're behind.
I don't want to see a death cap a Mumu or like something
seriously,
like straight
actually,
stupid.
You say that, but there are times where you want to build a Mumu for damage, and that is, it is. If you're incredibly fed, you build like your first item and your third item for damage, and everything else is tank. So you have, because dude, your ganks get so strong. Yeah, they do.
Let's revise that and say, if you're behind, don't build.
Okay,
AP
if you're behind,
Mumu.
just build straight tank, and you'll be totally fine as a Mumu. Build something.
Or if you're playing a normal game and you don't have 20 kills, build him like a tank.
If you're fed, build for damage. So my second jungler is Elise, and when I pick Elise, just oh Lord Jesus, save your fucking top lane. The only reason I play Elise so much is one, to counter jungle, to gank out. It's guaranteed that I will gank. I don't give a fuck who you are. I will gank you at level 2 on your red. It's guaranteed. It's going to happen. And then I play Elise because if I have a bursty mid, dude, I'll camp mid all fucking day. Like, her kit is so ridiculous that she can burst so high. I can literally knock somebody down to like 30% health. So my mid just basically has to hit him with like LeBlanc. Dude, it's not even a competition. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of the strong things about Elise is she does a lot of damage even without items. Like, it's why she's been popular so long, is her base damage is so high, and it's like Q, it does a percentage of damage or percentage of max health, and then you switch to Spider and hit Q again, it's like percentage health mythic.
Yeah, if you're using your combo right, you should literally take out anywhere from 40 to 60% of their health in a combo. So that literally, like, if they've taken any damage, like, your mid has to auto attack them. And with Elise, like, I can literally, sometimes I won't even clear my jungle. I'll just take my buffs, and then I'll just come right back to mid, and I'll just shove that lane. Elise is one of the champs that I see a lot of tier 2 towers are down within below 15 minutes because I just camp a lane so hard, and that lane snowballs out of control. And after that, I just build her tanky. I think that's about it for mine. Just some general guidelines on jungling. Gank shit, buy a ward, and don't feed.
Wise words from Scott Williams.
Yeah, I know, right?
But my favorite junglers right now is I pretty much have my 2 go-to junglers. Or I really have one go-to jungler, and the other is backup in case he's banned. It's Udyr is my main jungler right now. And I never really played him much, but I just didn't understand him. And then, like, once I really started playing him, I was like, this is the best champion in the game. Aside from Galio. So,
yeah, outside of Galio.
With Udyr, he's got so much variety that you can pretty much tailor him to any kind of team comp that you're up against. You know, do you need consistent damage? Go Phoenix. It's like, do you need to be a tank? You know, build tanky items. Do you just need to go damage? Pick Tiger stance and just build attack speed and stuff like that. Like, there's so much that you can do with Udyr that the other team, it's like, what are they going to do about it? Like, you can be AP or AD with Phoenix stance or Tiger. You can be tanky or damage, you know, depending on whatever items you want to get. You've got a shield. You've got a stun. You've got hard CC. You've got movement speed where you can pretty much run from people if you need. He's so, like, you can't catch him. He's just the best jungler, I feel like, right now. Or for low elos, he is. When people don't know what's going on and you need to carry your team, like, he's one of the guys that can do it. So yeah, Udyr is my main go-to jungle right now. Second, is Vi, pretty much. She's just kind of, just one of the main junglers that everyone goes with. And it's because her ganking is really strong. She can stick to whoever the fuck she wants. Her burst is ridiculous. And you can build tanks so she can get out again, like, once it's over.
And her ult's ridiculous.
Yeah. That's kind of like sticking to people. It's like, you go in with your Q, you see people, they're like, oh shit, it's Vi, and you see the ADC in the back. It's just hit R, just go in. You're gonna hit them. It's like they can't get away from it.
One of those ults that really lets your team, get on who they need to be on.
Yeah. It's like if she's in the back and the rest of the team's blocking for her, all you're gonna do is knock the rest of her team to her side. And even if they have something like a Quicksilver Sash, even if they Spartan the Sea, even if they have something like a Quicksilver Sash, it's still gonna knock them up and like keep them stunned
slow them down for a second.
Yeah, knock them up for a while. Like, it might take away the damage that the R would do, but you're still gonna be standing right next to them at the end of it. So you can get where you need to with Vi, and yeah, you can gank any lane with Vi. It's just she just hits so hard, and her Q just lets you get there. It's great. Is there anything else? Oh, I have one more thing to say in general with jungling. And that is, one thing I've started noticing is I used to be a top lane player. That was my main. So when I was jungling, I would focus on ganking top lane. because I was like, that's the lane I play. So I was just used to, I was like, that's the lane I'm going to focus on, like, unconsciously. That's just what would happen. And since I've started maining the jungle, one thing I've noticed is it's so much better to just almost ignore top lane. Top lane isn't, well, most likely isn't going to be what's going to carry the team. It's going to be...
I have a argument for that, but go ahead.
I was going to say, it's probably going to be mid lane, or it's probably going to be bot. Now, there are exceptions. If there's a Jax or a Riven up top, or something like that that can snowball hard as shit, you're probably going to want to wander top lane. But if there's a LeBlanc mid, or something like that, or there's, Caitlyn that's getting fed down bot, you're going to want to kill those lanes, because top lane doesn't carry as hard, usually, as mid and bot.
What I was going to say was, about 80, what I found when I jungle is about 80% of the time, if you don't gank top lane before they're level 6, don't even bother ganking that lane. Because at that point, most top laners become too tanky to gank, or they have too much escape.
Right.
So, like when I was talking about playing Elise, I'm probably going to gank top lane once, but I'm really going to focus on just feeding my mid. Like, your job as a jungler is to feed one of your lanes just so that they cannot be stopped. That's your job.
Pretty much. I mean...
I pretty much just say fuck bot lane. I don't even fuck with bot lane unless they're like push the tower and they're just like,
Help me, help.
and I'm just
Help.
like, shut the fuck up. I'm just
up.
like, shut the fuck up, nerd. Muted. And then, that's why I make friends.
Am I right?
Am I right, guys? Am I right, mid? High five. Let's gank this bitch.
No, but seriously, I pretty much just ignore bot lane, like unless they're completely pushed, or there's an argument that if a lane is doing bad, that you should gank, and some people say if a lane is doing bad, just ignore them and just try and carry another lane.
Yeah, it's two sides of the coin,
Mm-hmm.
where you got to gank something, and you've got to figure out in your mind who needs to be ganked. Is it mid? Is it bot? Is it top? It shouldn't be top that often, because if you're playing against like a Renekton or a Shin, or really
Unless it's a
anything
Nasus.
top,
Fuck Nasus, just shut the Doge down.
or Teemo, or Riven.
There ain't no shutting down the Pimpcane.
Yeah, but yeah, you've got to make that choice where
It's a judgment call.
yeah, it's like, all right, these people down bot. It's like, if I help them, can they get back in the game? Or if I help them, am I just wasting my time?
Idiots just too far gone.
Yeah, are these people just literally retarded and they're just rolling their face on the keyboard and just like
That's probably it.
it's like, is your time valuable enough to go and help them try to get back in the game? And are they going to use that wisely? Is what you have to ask yourself.
I think the best way to close on this is like when you're weighing your options in any other role on your team, jungler is like on steroids to that extent, to where it's so important that you make intelligent decisions that it can literally throw a game.
Yeah. Jungler is one of those roles you can carry the game or you can throw the game out the window. It's just one of those things. I think mid and jungle are the two most important roles right now.
What Nick was saying was junglers can really carry a game. I totally forgot what I was going to say. I did. I totally forgot.
That was a
man.
great point.
That's a great point.
That was a good point.
All right, well, I'll say one more thing, and that'll be it, because
All right.
we're going on an hour and a half
Okay.
already. We've been
Yeah,
talking
let's
about
quit.
this for a long time.
Let's quit.
I'll just say that as a jungler, you have the ability to win every lane for your team, even if your team doesn't want to win that lane. Like, if they're trying their hardest to throw that lane out the fucking window, you can bring it back if you want as a jungler.
What was your saying on Udyr?
Like the great Ben Parker
I was
always
saying,
said.
you got
with
to
great power
carry these
comes
people
great
sometimes
responsibility.
at low elos. You got to carry people fucking kicking and screaming to victory. Like, they're gonna struggle. They're like, no, I don't want to get out of fucking bronze, and they're gonna be grabbing at your goddamn feet, just trying to drag you down like a gravitational force. And you got to say, "Bitch, get off me!" Just shrug them off and be like, "We're winning this shit, whether you like it or not." That's jungling.
That's jungling.
That's jungling. All right, that's the show this week, everybody. You can visit our website at mediocregamecast.podbean.com. I would say shoot us emails, but we don't have an email set up yet. So you could subscribe to me on YouTube. It's youtube.com/tigos132. And I know you keep saying it, but are you Zeismo or Trollerman on YouTube?
From now on, I'll let you guys know when my channel's up, because I'm gonna be traveling for the next week or two.
All right, so his channel, not many updates right now. I don't have many updates right now because the server's been screwed up and LOL replay's been screwed up, so I haven't really made any videos. But you can follow us on YouTube anyway. Follow us on iTunes for weekly show updates. You can check out our other podcasts where we talk about other things about video games, just video games in general. I still got to put the episode together, so that'll probably be going up at the same time as this one. It's called the Mediocre Gamecast. This is Ghost 132 with Seismo and Beastum, and we'll see you guys next time.
Gang shit, buy a ward, don't feed.
Wise words from a wise man.
Thank you.